Most people think the path to wealth looks like a movie montage. You either land a CEO job that pays in solid gold bars, or you get struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket. Or, let's be real, you're probably scouring the internet for a moonshot coin named after a dog or a fruit, hoping it'll turn your $10 into a private island by Tuesday. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but those aren't strategies, they're prayers. Real wealth isn't a heist, it's a math trick, and honestly, it's a boring one. But boring is good. Boring pays for vacations. If you have $5 and a clock that actually works, you already have everything you need to be wealthy. In fact, I'm going to show you something that feels like a glitch in the matrix. Why starting with the price of a mediocre burrito today is actually worth way more than starting with $1 million 10 years from now. It sounds fake, I know. It sounds like something a guy in a rented suit would tell you in a YouTube ad before trying to sell you a course on dropshipping. But I'm not selling a course. I'm selling you the laws of physics.
Yes! Hell yeah!
Let's play a game. It's a classic, but it's the quickest way to spot who understands money and who's just dreaming about it. I'm standing in front of you with two things. In my left hand, a briefcase filled with $1 million in cold, hard cash. It's shiny, it smells like success, and it's enough to buy a very respectable amount of high-end guac for the rest of your life. In my right hand, a single, lonely, slightly dirty penny. But there's a catch. This penny has a superpower. It doubles every single day for the next 30 days. Now, if you're like most people, you're grabbing that $1 million briefcase and doing a victory lap before I can even finish my sentence. And honestly, I don't blame you. $1 million is $1 million. But you just made a multi-million-dollar mistake. See, if you took the penny, by day 30, you aren't just rich, you're private jet rich. That single cent has transformed into over $5.3 million. But here's the part where everyone loses their nerve, the boring zone. For the first 2 weeks, you're going to feel like an absolute idiot. On day 10, while the $1 million person is buying a yacht, you have $5.12. You can't even buy a fancy latte with your investment. By day 20, 2/3 of the way through the month, you only have about $5,000. You're probably sitting there, looking at your single penny, wondering if I'm a scam artist. But then, the glitch happens. In the final 5 days, the math stops being polite and starts being a monster. And then it explodes. That is the soul of compound interest. It's not about the start. It's about having the stomach to wait for the explosion at the end. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have a magic penny, and my bank account currently consists of 3 loyalty cards and a button. So let's look at how this works in the real world, with 2 people, Maya and Leo. First, we have Maya. At age 20, while everyone else is spending their money on questionable fashion choices and late-night pizza, Maya starts investing $200 a month. She does this for exactly 10 years. Then, at age 30, she decides she's done. She stops. She never adds another single cent for the rest of her life. She basically retires her bank account before she even hits her midlife crisis. Then we have Leo. Leo is a procrastinator. Leo spends his 20s living his best life, which is code for having a savings account balance of 0. At age 30, Leo has a light bulb moment, or panic attack, and realizes he needs to save. To make up for lost time, Leo rolls up his sleeves and starts investing that same $200 a month. But here's the kicker. Leo doesn't stop after 10 years. He keeps grinding. He invests $200 every single month for 35 years straight until he's 65. So who wins? Is it Maya, who only invested for 10 years and then took a 35-year nap? Or is it Leo, who worked 3.5 times harder and put in $60,000 more of his own money? If you're using 8% annual return, which is the historical average Joe benchmark for the stock market, the result isn't just a surprise, it's mathematically offensive. All right, let's look at the damage. By the time Maya hits 30, she has a snowball of about $36,000. At this point, Maya basically enters financial Zen mode. She stops working, she stops saving, and she probably goes off to live her best life. But her money? Her money is just getting started. That $36,000 sits in the market like a silent employee, working 24/7, compounding and multiplying for the next 35 years. By the time Maya turns 65, she hasn't added a single penny to her account since her 30th birthday. Think about that. While the rest of the world was stressing over inflation, market crashes, and whether or not we'd all be replaced by robot overlords, Maya's money was just vibing. She spent 3.5 decades not checking her balance, not worrying about tickers, and definitely not working for that money. She treated her investment like a set-it-and-forget-it slow cooker. Except instead of a pot roast, she opened the lid 35 years later to find a staggering $605,000. That is over $500,000 for doing the literal bare minimum for 10 years in her 20s. She basically won the game of retirement while she was still young enough to enjoy a music festival without needing 3 days of recovery time. And the wildest part? She didn't need a Wolf of Wall Street genius-level trade. She didn't have to find the next world-changing tech startup in a garage. She just used the most boring, reliable math in the universe to turn the cost of a daily burrito into a portfolio that could buy a literal house. While everyone else was trying to sprint to the finish line in their 50s, Maya was already at the beach because she understood one thing. Money is a great worker, but time is the best boss. Now, let's look at poor Leo. Leo worked like a dog. He invested for 25 years longer than Maya. He sacrificed $200 every single month from his 30s through his 40s all the way to his 60s. He literally put in $60,000 more of his own hard-earned cash than Maya did. Leo crosses the finish line at age 65. He's tired. He's been dutifully clicking transfer on that $200 every single month since the year 2030. He's missed out on extra dinners, canceled a few streaming services, and basically treated that monthly contribution like a second mortgage. He's the poster child for discipline. He opens his investment app, expecting to see a mountain of cash that would make Maya look like a hobbyist. He checks the final balance. Drumroll, please. $413,000. Now, in a vacuum, $413,000 is great. You can buy a lot of bingo cards with that. But then he looks over at Maya. Maya, who has been sitting in a hammock for the last 35 years. Maya, who put in $60,000 less than he did. Leo realizes he is nearly $200,000 behind. That is the price of a Ferrari. That is a lifetime of premium health insurance. That is a very, very nice beach house in a country where the sun actually shines. Leo didn't lose because he was lazy. The man worked like a gladiator.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
He lost because he tried to fight the most powerful force in the universe, the head start. He spent 35 years trying to out-earn the clock, but the clock doesn't care how hard you work. The clock only cares when you started. While Leo was busy trying to catch up, Maya's money babies were already having great grandchildren. Leo didn't just lose the game. He played it on ultra hard mode, while Maya was playing on creative mode with the cheats turned on. This is the universal law of wealth that your math teacher probably should have mentioned. A tiny bit of money plus a massive amount of time is mathematically superior to a massive amount of money and a tiny bit of time. So, my advice? Stop waiting for someday. Stop waiting until you have a real job or until the economy feels perfect. Your dollars are more powerful today than they will ever be again. Don't be a Leo, be a Maya. Go make your first move. For more simplified finance content like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Take care.